Hello there and welcome back to the crypt. I am with Robert / Squash, who's tipping drink across my table just now.
Hello, I'm Robert.
Tonight we're drinking various rums. We did have pineapple rum, that's gone. We have golden rum, and we're also, once we run out of those ones, we are going to be drinking Holy Island spiced rum.
Nice.
So tonight's chat will actually be about Primarchs, mainly during the Horus Heresy.
That's all my knowledge is in Horus Heresy. I don't know much about new books. I haven't read much.
Yeah, there's not much involved in 40k with the Primarchs just now, out with the 4 loser Primarchs that are there, and Big G and the Lion.
Yeah.
So we'll just we'll go through the order of the legions, won't we? And
I think it's fun, yeah. Talk a little bit about each of them, some of them more so than others, because, well, knowledge-wise and also just pure interest-wise, there's a lot of Primarchs in there that are just simply dull. Is the nicest way to put it. Or just, really, really useless.
There's other words for some of the Primarchs, but unfortunately we can't say them. So we'll start off with the First Legion. We have Lion L. Johnson.
Yeah.
Who, in my personal opinion, I find him quite boring.
I agree with that, 100%.
I don't doubt that he is obviously, in a sense, a mastermind, and his prowess in battle is considered to be one of the best. But I find that during the Horus Heresy, a lot of his stories are actually just quite...
100% agree. It's not even just him, it filters down to his legion as well.
Yeah.
I find them incredibly boring to read about. Just
I mean, there's some good characters here and there, but overall, I don't know. I think the first book he was in, is it Knights of Caliban? Was that the first one in the Horus Heresy? It was the first one that sort of truly went into it, and it was it went in on Caliban, and it was all about the Knights' orders to start. And there was a couple of characters, I think they were cousins. One's got a psychic potential, ends up a librarian, and the other one ends up a chaplain. Those two characters were actually quite good.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, they never really, they didn't really appeal. Coswain's quite cool, he's got some good moments in it, but I just
find the line, it's just, there's a bit when he's hunting Conrad.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
That's quite cool. And obviously we'll talk about it a bit later when we get to Big G and stuff, but there's elements of him that are quite fun, really, his interactions with some of his brothers, but it's the elusive nature of him, I suppose, that makes him so... maybe what makes him so boring is obviously he is secretive, so he's quite...
I know, but sometimes it's just it totally goes against him though, how secretive he is, and it costs him.
Yeah.
It costs him big. And it's all just it's competitive. It's very competitive. He gave those big guns to Porty before Isfahan, just so he could get a vote for the next War Master. And I was just like, "What are you doing, you nugget?"
How are they supposed to know?
Well, no, but the Lion doesn't really know people, though. That's his thing. He's just not good at reading people.
And he's supposed to be a great hunter, and he couldn't even hunt down curs.
Well, I mean, he did track him a few times, and he did catch up with him.
He captured him, but he was in his own ship, and he couldn't catch him.
He's got great skill sets, but I don't know, it's maybe the way he's written in a lot of his stories, and I don't know, he comes across quite dull. Which leads us on to... which our next Primarch is the Second Legion, who's actually not appearing in this discussion because we don't know anything about him.
Cue the music.
So we'll skip number 2
and 3,
and we'll go on to the Third Legion where we talk about Fulgrim,
which we can skip too.
Okay, going on to Legion number 4. Fulgrim. Fulgrim is possibly my least favourite Primarch because he's a really petulant child. Like, he's supposed to be, oh, I'm the greatest swordsman and all this, but he's
I've never
actually...
seen somebody talk so much about being so perfect and so good at everything, yet how many times does he get spanked?
Yeah.
In every story, by every Primarch.
I think one of his finest moments was where Porty smashed him several times during that book.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was a good read about Fulgrim.
And again, that wasn't even his.
But I mean, like, he's almost the entirety of his Legion is crap, apart from the legend Soltavus.
Soltavus.
He's awesome. He's like the best thing about the Emperor's Children. Lucius, he's another gimp. He sorry, Dave's contacting us from the Nether here. He's talking about Eidolon,
who's also just as bad as Fulgrim. Fuck, why would you bring his name up? I actually forgot he existed until you said his name, and now I'm remembering all the stories where I had to listen to him.
Yeah, he's another truffle, isn't he?
I mean, he was one of the ones round the table as Fulgrim got robotically things inserted.
yeah, so...
He pretended to be asleep. Oh, I'm really tired. Oh, just a little bit deeper.
Yeah. The Khan was right, when the Khan said, I hear you do things to your Legion. But yeah, it's...
Great quote. We'll come back to that one as well.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. But yeah, I think a unanimous decision in the crypt, bar one person, Rory. He likes Fulgrim. Everyone else is like, loser.
Yeah, he's
he's the sort of person that you need to ban.
And even his guy, like Lucius, I mean,
Lucius.
Again, perfect swordsman. How many times does he get spanked?
How many times?
He's got a cheat code. He can just keep coming back to life in somebody else. So he doesn't actually beat anyone. He gets beaten and then takes over their body.
Yeah, it's like, sucky.
Yeah. That's enough about that.
He's probably beat more people than his father, though.
I don't know. His father's beaten off a lot.
That's true. Moving on next is Horus,
who I think is actually totally underrated. I think he's a great character.
I like Porty. I like him. Like, there's moments where I find him maddy. Maybe the word I would use. In some cases, he's a wee bit like. I understand that he had this thing where it was his Legion were doing the bulk of fighting and whatnot, but I mean, that wasn't the Emperor's fault. We didn't need to tan.
It wasn't. It's not. Yeah, I see what you mean. He's a bit sour-faced. He's a bit of a sour-faced Primarch. And yeah, because his Legion is known for going and getting stuck in and where the heaviest fighting is and where the dirtiest fighting is. But the thing that I like most about him is throughout, even when he does follow Horus and goes and turns traitor, he still has that semblance of sort of humanity and loyalty. He doesn't go full blown chaos. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He like there's a great one where it's not.
They kind of discuss him that they fall into that.
I can always forget the book it's from now, but there's one of the ships is escaping from him, and they've got them fully trapped.
That's the Imperial Fists.
Yeah, they're about to destroy the ship, but they overload their warp drive to make it look as if they're going to self-explode, and everyone round the bridge is panicking, going, "Oh no, what are we going to do? We need to get away from them." But Perturabo, the way he's described is he sees exactly what they're doing, the amount of levels of power that are going to the warp drive to escape, and he sees it, he smiles into himself, and he goes, "Well played, on you go," and he lets them go, which. Like, no other traitor Primarch would do that, in my opinion. And that symbolism is just awesome. He's got that humanity left in him and that honour almost left in him to still have a fair fight and do it for the right reasons.
He's got a realisation of everyone as well, though. Like, obviously he doesn't get along with Dawn, but he knows Dawn's not stupid. A lot of Primarchs are just like, they'll throw heckles at each other and put each other down, but Porturabo has the knowledge to understand each Primarch as they come across. I mean, he doesn't obviously agree with most of them. In fact, nearly all of them. But I think he's a good character to have.
Even his
Do I think he should have turned? No. No, I don't think he should have turned for the reasons he did. I think he should have looked, for someone who knows a lot, I think he should have looked at the reasons a little bit better.
Yeah. Even his falling out with Fulgrim and stuff, like the discussions they have, and Fulgrim, again, being the petulant child, knocking his intrinsically built warlord titan that he has in his what do you call it? Lodgings. Lodgings.
Porty basically plays Warhammer.
Yeah. Why could you not like him? The guy builds warlord titans.
Well, he actually, in the...
fully working miniature warlord titans.
Yeah, well, one of the books he challenges, is it Grogar? Challenges him to basically a game of, like a war game. So they're playing off against each other and they're trying to do the Siege of Terra. Is it Grogar? I can't remember. I'm sure it begins with a G. But he ends up, challenging him to this. Or he challenges Porty or something. I can't remember which way it was. But they have a war game and it's basically designed for attacking the gates of Terra.
Right. Okay.
And they play off against each other.
Yeah.
And Porty obviously wins, but... I think the I'm sure it's Grogar or something like that. He ends up putting in a good shift basically, and Porty even,
That's, I mean, he's one of the few. He's quite happy to admit when somebody's done well, which is what I like about him as a Primarch.
Yeah,
he's
I've never actually read his Primarch book though, so I don't know what's written in that about him. But from what I've read in the Horus Heresy, and I'm all the way up to, I think I've got 4 or 5 books left, I think now. But
one more than me.
But the stuff I've read in it is quite good. There's a couple of moments where I'm just a bit like, you're a bit of a dick, but...
Again, it's not that I don't feel like he's ever been a dick. I just feel like he's that, again, sour face, just like, why are you getting so upset about that? Like, Primarch, grow up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's the way most traitor Primarchs go, isn't it? Is a grow up. But, yeah. Enough about him.
Enough about Porty.
Yeah, about somebody a bit more cheery. Guy who likes birds in the open plains.
The Khan. 5th Legion. Actually, my favourite Legion, the White Scars. And the Khan, what do we think about him as a character?
I've not read huge amounts about him so far, but the few things that I'm beginning to touch on with him, straight away, he's a likeable character. There's a few things, there are reservations, not so much reservations, but I'm sure it'll come to light the more I read about him. But so far, where I am in the Horus Heresy, you kind of question his sort of decision making sometimes. So obviously, with that in mind, I'll just go straight into it with his hesitation to jump into the fight, which is fair enough. The more you actually understand of it and the bigger scale of it, he's not ready to just jump in and help one brother or the other, which makes sense. But it's sometimes when things seem quite clear, but maybe that's just clear to the reader because you know the rest of the stories, you're kind of like screaming at him, why are you not going and helping, like, move your arse? And he's, deliberating and going, oh no, we'll go here first, and I'm not going to respond to anybody, I'm not going to talk to anybody, I'm not going to go back to Terra, I'm going to go here and do my own thing, which can be detrimental in its own way, if he had this rush back to Terra. But, I mean, obviously I understand the thinking behind it, going, everything's gone to shit, let's just keep ourselves in the right. But if he had rushed back to Terra, maybe things could have gone a little bit different.
I think I quite like about him as well is he's never pushed into something, like as you're saying, he's never pushed into the decision. So, he's still got his firm belief on what is right and what's wrong. Obviously, like Russ, and he went, and he was obviously really good pals with Magnus. So he went to go and find out what actually happened, as you said, and he goes there and he finds out, and then he makes his decision, and then he joins the war, obviously on the Imperial side because he's an absolute champ, and the Imperium's right. And but his character itself, like, he's just so witty, but he's like so polite, but he's got that huge element of like aggression as well, and I like the way he fights. I like his whole war.
It's the unknown aggression as well.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? It's like he's secretive in his own way as
because
well.
he doesn't
He
boast.
doesn't brag. Yeah,
he doesn't brag. He doesn't boast. He just sits there and he just takes everything in, and he just lets it flatline, and then he just does what he needs to do, which is what I love about it, because he's not in your face with anything. Like when he tells Fulgrim to shut the hell up, basically, that's brilliant. And as we know, Fulgrim doesn't have an argument with anything anyway, because he's dumb.
We'll come back to that. I love that. It's such a good bit of the book, though, isn't it? We might as well just talk about it now. We're at the Can bit. But it's such a good sort of brotherly scene. The three of them. It's Morty's there as well. Isn't he?
So there's like
four of them.
Sanguinus, Morty,
and then
the Can,
and obviously Fulgrim.
I'm sure there's another one there.
I thought that was just the four. Morty was there as well, because obviously at the end of it, he says, "Who do you think would win out of us?" And
they kind of look at each other.
Yeah, Can's quite cool. He's like, "I don't know either," which is quite cool. But
like he admits though. He's not like arrogant.
Yeah.
Although he does tell Fulgrim, he's like, "I would beat you because you're full of peacock," basically.
Yeah.
You spend all your time.
That quote is so good, though. It's like, I hear you do you do odd things to your ships. I hear you do odd things to your warriors. It's like, you can't beat it. It's just, and then Sanguinius just in the background, just like poking them along, going, chuckling away.
Like, the Legion characters as well. Yasugai, he's a great character.
He's the
Librarian,
but they're not called librarians, are they? So what are they called in the Can's Legion? Or?
They're not Stormseers. It's not Stormseers.
Stormcallers?
Yeah, there's like it's gone up my head.
I can't remember what they're called either.
They like Yasugai is actually he's brilliant. He's a really good character, and the way they come across as well when they're speaking to like the human auxiliary and generals, ship admirals, and all the rest of it. Like the point that they're always smiling and they're always being polite, and it irritates people because it's like, why are you being so polite to me?
Yeah.
But it's the characters, and there's a Jubal Khan as well. He's cool.
Yeah.
But he was the one that cut the face off little Horus as well, isn't he? Slices like little Horus's face like down here, and his face just drops off.
I've maybe not got that bit either.
No, you would have. No, you would have. I'm sure you would have.
Was it in the duel?
No, it's like they're attacking. I can't remember the name of the world, but they're attacking, and a bunch of Iron Hands and White Scars jump out of them. Basically, Morty gets shot by the Fire Raptors, and gets the building collapsed on him. Jubal Khan. I'm sure it's Jubal Khan cuts his.
Little Horus. That's a shame. He could have actually been good as well.
Little Horus could have been.
He could have been good.
He was actually. I think he was tormented for a while as well about what happened with.
Yeah,
with Loki.
He felt remorse. He was one of the few to feel remorse.
But then he lost it. And
because Abaddon, obviously.
We don't like Abaddon.
No, nobody likes Abaddon.
No. When they should kill him off. Get rid of him. Get him out of 40k.
Again, another useless chaos character.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do this.
13 Crusades.
13 Crusades. And he's only just destroyed Cadia.
Yeah, he wouldn't have had. I don't think he would have had success going to the supermarket. Oh man.
One last thing on the Can is his deliberation, and that comes through again with his sort of time that he has for the sort of ship's quartermaster.
Yes.
She's awesome as well.
Yeah, she's really good.
He just sits and plays chess with her, taking really slow. It's like he slows down almost. He goes from going full blown Primarch running things. She's running things is actually probably more accurate, isn't she? She's trying to get things organised.
It's the fact that his room looks like an art as well. Yeah. It's all set up. There's like skins and rugs and stuff everywhere. It's like, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like no, she's a good character. She's a good character.
Yeah.
So the Can, 5th Legion.
A lot of good things to say about Can.
Well, we've got next, Russ. This is the one that's always a topic of conversation. Yeah. Many people say that Russ is basically Neanderthal, feral idiot who's written really badly. Okay, some of that I could agree with in a sense, because some of his stuff is written really badly. But I think that he's also written with depth if you actually take a proper read at it, especially from other perspectives like Malkador, like the Emperor himself, and there's other Primarchs that also mention like Russ is a lot smarter than he comes across. He actually puts it on as a display to pull people into
Pull the
thinking
wool
that
over
he's
their
just
eyes, isn't it?
to
Yeah,
basically think that he's an idiot,
yeah,
but he's
it's,
actually the complete opposite. I think he's really good, and he beat Magnus up for doing everything wrong.
I'm going to save all that. I'm going to save all that for later. Because we're talking about Russ right now. Well, I'll come back. I'll give you my retort to that when it comes.
Once you've thought of it.
when it comes. When the time is nigh. But yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree, unfortunately, that Russ is a totally understated character. And again, it's another one of those that it filters down to his actual legionnaires in the sense that they're all used to being seen as dogs and animals and feral and just, savages, but they're
so
really
much,
not.
They do have a huge amount of depth, though.
Yeah,
Like the whole way.
Like they say, like obviously Russ was created as the executioner and stuff, but was he executioner or was he actually just created to be somebody who could fight a Primarch and live, and then also could have sort of undying loyalty, and that loyalty sometimes is like to a fault when it comes to like things like Grey Knights and stuff like that. With the Legion, that is, because that was just dumb.
That wasn't dumb. Like they were protecting like the Grey.
We're going well off key with this, but also
I'm not going to discussion of Grey Knights and their
totally
silliness.
Great fucking. It was just dumb. Inquisition digging their heels in and fucking wolves sticking their nose where it doesn't need.
Nah, wolves needed to be there.
No.
But like the space wolves, the space wolves themselves. So like we've got like, so like the story about Beyond. So as he's called Bear. So the whole way through the book he's called Bear. That's how the Skald calls him, is Bear, but he pronounced it wrong because he got it wrong when he said his name. And but that's really cool, and Beyond being all the way through it, and then obviously Beyond ended up in 40k. He's 10,000 years old, isn't he? Which I can't, because he's weird tied with the.
I cannot remember which book it is now, but for some reason it's so vivid in my head when they land on a heli deck, or a heli deck I'm saying, but a landing pad, and it's Bjorn Ironside with. I'm sure it is with the Inquisition with that Grey Knight. That's what we were just talking about.
Bjorn Ironside.
No,
Vikings.
Sorry, no, I never said Ironside. Bjorn Felhan, yeah, and he's obviously the Dreadnought, and they go to meet him, the delegation, as they come to discuss what's going on. He's basically the intermediary.
Yeah, and they all bow down.
Yeah, and everyone's like, yeah. Because he's, you do not fuck with that.
And he's like, yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
I pissed and killed with the Emperor.
We've barely talked about Russ.
Yeah. Beyond is cool.
Yeah.
But Russ, yeah. But so Russ is like this really in-depth character that I think's taken the wrong way a lot. But he has some cool things, and he's got these great respects for other Primarchs as well. So like going back to the Khan, when they're talking about how he needs help because the Alpha Legion are giving them crap, and he says, "Well, what about the Khan? He's close by." And it's that the whole thing going back to the Khan's personality is the Khan's totally overlooked by everyone because he's so secretive. But Russ is like, he obviously knows. He's like, but even he admits he's like, "I overlooked that."
Yeah.
But
there's also like things as well, like so we're talking about the Khan there, but also certain things. I've totally lost my train of thought right now. Fuck, that was really annoying.
Blueberry muffins.
I like banana muffins more.
So that was my safe word.
Oh, now we know.
Damn it!
He never told us before. He always kept it secret.
Just never had to shout it before.
No, we're back on talking to Fulgrim at this talk.
Yeah. Don't keep bringing up his name, man.
Yeah. Fuck, I've totally forgot what I was going to say because it was actually a good point.
Russ.
Yeah, Russ, blah, 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 Khan, blah, blah,
While
blah,
you're thinking,
blah, blah, blah. Yeah, keep going.
The Russ, beat Horus as well. He stabbed him in the waist.
That was what I was going to bring up, was the Angron fight. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, again, highly disputed topic. Everyone's like, oh, Angron beat him, but he was holding back. It's quite plain to see.
Yeah.
He led him into a fucking death circle.
And
was
taught
like-
him, and basically was trying to teach him a lesson.
Yeah, and said, "Calm your fucking tits."
Yeah.
But yeah,
Look
yeah.
at my legion there for me, and look at your legion not even bothered about you.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
again, tactically thinking, like methodically executed, even though you took, you took a few beatings for it, but it wasn't as if he was actually fighting to kill, which if he was, I would think he would beat Angron, hands down. In my opinion, because again, he's not a fighter who's going to fight fair. He's not a fighter who's going to, as I will say, they go through the throat, don't they? They go for the kill. But
Yeah,
if he's fighting just to try and teach him a lesson, he's not actually fighting. He's just essentially parrying, going,
Like, so
"Let me show you how this should be."
two instances as well of so in the book where he's off to Prospero, he thinks that the Skuld that's on the ship with him is actually a spy of Magnus, which is what the book sort of spins round, as well as this Skuld there. I can't remember the actual name of the
I
character,
don't
but
know
he
if I
starts.
read this one either, actually.
Is it the Banner of Prospero? Which
Is
one's
it
the
the Banner
second
of
one?
Prospero?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
second
Banner of
one about the
Prospero's
Space
the second
Wolf.
one,
It's
yeah.
Space Wolf point of view.
Yeah.
But he thinks the Skull's basically a spy of Magnus, and he's talking to him, and he's talking to the boy, thinking he's talking through the man to Magnus, and he says, like, you know, he's telling Magnus, like, just hang up your gloves, basically, stop what you're doing, we'll go back and we'll talk it out. He doesn't want to kill Magnus, and then obviously it gets there, it all erupts. Magnus loses because he's a wet end, and then but then he did the same with Horus, you know, like, so when he's fighting Horus, he doesn't want to kill Horus. You know, he doesn't want to kill him. Well, it's true, he beat Magnus, he broke his back.
He broke his back, but again, they
Broke
fucking
his
let
back.
you in. Because Magnus wasn't bad at the time. And no, I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong. I'm not doing that old fucking line, because everyone says that. He did a lot fucking wrong, and he made a lot of mistakes. But to say Russ is innocent on it is just horseshit. He went in there to kill everybody there, and he wiped out everyone.
Well, the Legion technically had to die because they were losers. So we should move on to Dawn.
Yeah, we're talking about that. Yeah, we're only like not even halfway through the list.
I actually quite like the Thousand Suns, to be honest. I think they're a cool Legion, and I like Prospero. I think
Thousand Suns
it was a cool place. And some of the we'll get onto that when we're talking about Magnus. Dawn. We've got Dawn. The big champion.
Stoic, heroic,
stoic,
steadfast.
white-haired,
Like
Dolph Lundgren type.
Yeah.
If he dies, he dies. But Dawn, so I think Dawn has massive amount of presence. So not in every, but in 90% of the chapters or paragraphs or books that he comes into, it's almost like a silence falls across everyone that's in the pages, because he walks out and everyone's like, oh, it's the Praetorian of Dawn, like Praetorian of Terror, basically.
Yeah.
So, but I think he's got amazing presence, and I think the fact that he's always looks like he's about to break glass in his teeth as well, like that's how I picture him. He's always got like a clenched jaw, like
Darren, like
Yeah.
constantly juggling everything going on.
yeah, and he's like,
Just, yeah.
you know-
you think of Gulliman as the master planner, but the amount of organisation skills to
Yeah, yeah.
manage everything he did for Terra.
and
was just
I'm
like-
trying to think of all the times he smiled, but I think the one time I did, he did openly smile was when Vulcan picked him up and hugged him. I think when Vulcan comes back. But yeah, that was another moment you were just like that. But he's got depth as well. He just doesn't show it, but he's got, like, you know, he has all the same feelings like all the
Yeah.
others. Like, he's got remorse and he's got everything else, but he's
Yeah.
just like, I've got to do this job. This is my job.
Yeah.
That's how he comes across to me anyway. He's like, I've got a job to do.
I've got limited knowledge on Dorn. I said, like, a lot of the knowledge for me with Dorn is to do with when he's trying to sort of manage the assassins when they're trying to kill Horus at early doors of the conspiracy or conspiracy treachery. Sorry.
It's not a conspiracy.
Yeah. It's quite openly at that point. it was quite well known at that point. But yeah, it's like his management of that. There's a bit of a reluctance to it as well. Even then, though, as well, you can see he's kind of do I really want to stoop to such sort of low tactics? Because he's always sort of biting at his chomp to try and get out there and join the fight, but he knows he has to be where he's supposed to be, which is what it makes him so interesting, because he sticks to it again. Absolute loyalty that he has to just stay and do there, because people like Khan are like, I'm off, I'm going to do what I want to do. And he's like, well, fuck you guys, I've got to sit here and defend the palace, and I've got to do it because nobody else will. And so it's that rage, that sort of level of rage, because he wants nothing more than to take the fight to them himself as well, which I find so interesting. But then he's got to sit there and then send assassins, and
he doesn't like the assassin thing.
He hates it. That's what I mean. And especially because, again, he's desperate to go out and face him face to face and fight him and take him down. He's his brother. He wants to see him go, why are you doing this? And then he's stuck there just going, I've got to do this. I've got to look after everything because none of my brothers are here to do it. And I'm the one who's best at doing it. But he's resigned to that fate. And the fact that he sticks to it and does it anyway just shows a sort of level of stoicism that he has with it, just stuck with it. But that's how I see him anyway. I mean, I haven't read a huge amounts on him, but what I have read, you just know he's one of those Primarchs that you could rely on.
Obviously he's got a couple of cool characters underneath him. He's Sigsmund, who's Sigsmund. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And what's the big lad called again?
Torgarden.
No. Torgarden's 40k, is he not?
Oh yeah, he's not in there actually. Is he not? No.
Who's the big lad? Potty fought him. He's the boy with the ship. Alexis Pollux.
That's the one.
That's the one we were talking about. So, yes, Alexis Pollux, who is an extraordinary, I think he's an extraordinary example to Imperial.
Yeah. Came into Imperial Secundus, or wasn't actually Imperial Secundus at that point, but he looked to help Guilliman as best he could at sort of retaining or making some semblance of order and making that place as safe as it could be, and in the process became friends with
Dantiok.
Yeah,
and
legend.
Dantiok's an absolute legend, and they formed after Dantiok saved him. They formed this amazing brotherhood through, I think it was 2 or 3 books, where they ended up.
There was a few,
yeah.
It starts off with that. It's not Imperial Secundus, is it? Their second founding of the Second Imperium. Something is a book, but but it starts with that one where they first meet.
I thought it was brilliant, like the way it was written as well. I think the 2 characters being of legions that hated each other. They had, I'm not saying not necessarily hated each other, but there was definitely gripe.
There's always a rivalry between the two. You could they were the 2 legions that would always have a rivalry, was Imperial Fists and Iron Warriors.
Yeah, but Dantiok was loyal, and he gave a big FU to his father Potty when they tried to sack him in his stronghold that was upside down and full of traps.
Absolutely made an absolute arse of every captain tried to do it.
No, that was another brilliant short story. It was just so good. But the 2 characters there, Dantiok and Alexis Pollux, I thought were peak brotherhood story in the Horus Heresy, and I think it definitely captured the disagreements and mending those disagreements. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, 100% agree.
And so on that was in Dawn's category, that one.
Yeah.
But we just forgot to mention Dantiok when we were talking about Potty.
Yeah. We can come back to him.
We can come back to him.
Yeah.